You know, that is very, like say, you read a story. The stories have values. The Lakota stories have values. There's something that you're gonna, the moral of that story. But if you read it, it's not, it's just, you read it and it's gone. But if somebody come to our classrooms and talk about the stories and the moral of that, what did you get out of it? What was so important? That's why I believe in oral storytelling. That's because I was always asked to do this at the Sundance youth camp. And I try to, tell stories that there's morals to it, because that's the way these stories were. And long, long time ago, how our stories have come. Even when you go out hunting, or even if to make a hide, scrape a hide, or to, beadwork and all that, there's always a moral to that story. And one that I like about that, he's no longer with us, Mr. White Hat, is how, one, was it a cousin that was so appreciative of her male cousin, so she started beading some moccasins for him in appreciation for looking after her. And she said to him, Lena Oha. So what that male cousin understood was Oha means to cook something. So he went out and boiled the water and he put those real beautiful moccasins in her. So sometimes, they don't really get the moral of the story. And that was a joke that he told. And I thought, oh my gosh, So things like that, the oral stories, I really believe in that. Because that's why I always like to go to L&I, and just visit those, especially like Charles White Elk. Boy, I learned a lot from him, but he's no longer with us. But you know what he said to me, or in that room was, he said, I have been teaching Lakota language for over 40 years now, and I am just tired of it. And you know what? That spring he died. So I said, I'm not going to ever say that, I'm tired of teaching Lakota language. I'm not going to ever say that. I said, after what happened to Charles. But he was really good, and he told stories in that room, where we were getting our training. So things like that, that I used to look towards Ogallala and Sichango, that there's a lot of elders that have really good stories. And that's where I look to Mr. Joe Marshall III too, in his books. There's really good stories in there. Some I know and some are new, because, our grandparents, I used to say to my mother, Mom, can I go sleep at Grandpa's tonight? Okay, then we used to sleep on the floor. And Grandpa would, before we go to sleep, he would be telling us stories. And he was a storyteller. So that's where, I used to go just to hear those stories. But, of course, you have to have permission from your parents. And they don't allow us to sleep anyplace else but to our grandparents. So, this oral tradition is very important. Coming from somebody with a life experience and sitting there telling you or talking about, like to the youth group, that is very important.